Welcome back to Happy Crumpin' Wargaming, my happy crumpers. Today I'm really excited to bring you another great video that is going to teach you some really sick combos. Now, we did a part one and it was really popular, and I know that people got some really great value out of it. So here is part two. I'm going to explain some really cool combinations that you're probably not thinking about and how to pull them off so that you can do some awesome things on the tabletop in the 41st millennia. Let's jump right into it. And before I get too far into the weeds, if you like this type of content, please hit the like, subscription, and subscribe button. And you can also share it with your friends. That really does help the channel out massively as I'm trying to grow and trying to pump more of this content out for you. You can also hop into the Discord to get access to really tips and tricks like this literally every single day, as we are always talking about it in the members only section of the Discord, which you can join by using my Ko-Fi link, or you can join as a YouTube membership. The links are all down below. Do the things. Anyway, Rapid Ingress to Heroic. This is a really awesome combination that has been popping up quite a bit. And if you haven't heard about it, well, I'm going to teach you exactly how to do it. You can really screw up your opponent's combat phases by utilizing this particular strategy. It works great with armies that have access to a couple of different unique abilities. So let's just talk about it. And then I'm going to show you on TTS how you're actually going to pull it off, okay? All right, so essentially what you're going to do is your opponent is setting up for some really some charges that you're quite terrified of in their movement phase. Then at the end of their movement phase, you are going to be a Wile E. Coyote. And what you're going to do is you're going to spend 1 CP on Rapid Ingress to get one of your units in position to pull off a heroic intervention to really screw up your opponent's charge phase. Now, this can work marvelously well, or it can disastrously fail based off of the keywords and abilities that the unit you are Rapid Ingressing actually has access to. So, for example, this gets way better if your unit has access to a free heroic intervention, because it's already going to cost you 1 CP for Rapid Ingress, and it would then cost you another 2 CP to heroically intervene. And since you can only heroically intervene if your opponent ends a charge within 6 inches of your model or of your unit, then it's entirely possible that you could roll a 5 and fail a heroic intervention if you have a 6-inch charge, which would require yet another CP to reroll that. So it could be very disastrous. It could actually cost you up to 4 CP to pull this combo off. So it's really nice if you have access to a free heroic intervention ability. And then it also gets a lot better if your unit has access to that deep strike, because if your unit is in reserves and they have deep strike, you have much more flexibility where you can pull this combination off. And remember, I'm about to show you how to do the combination, so just bear with me. Then, if you have access to fights first, you can actually do the heroic intervention and then fights first. So the opponent who charged you never even gets to fight in the first place. This is a disaster, and it can just completely break games for your opponents. And it can be an amazing thing to keep in mind when you are planning your game plan for how you're going to win games. Okay, cool. So now I'm going to switch over to TTS, and we're going to actually show you how the heck we are going to pull this off. And here we are. All right, so basically what I've done is I've set up a little scenario here where I have these Death Company Marines who are getting ready to try to charge these Orc boys. And from this guy, let's just say I have let's say I've got a 7-inch charge right here. Okay, cool. Well, at the end of the movement phase, I already know that my opponent is planning on making this 7-inch charge into my Orc boys. So I got to figure out, if these Death Company get in, they're going to wipe the squad. So how do I counteract this? Well, enter the Rapid Ingress. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put on the Strat Reserve thing so that you guys can see where my Strat Reserves are available. And I'm going to spend 1 CP to Rapid Ingress my Beast Boss on Squigosaur and all of his Squighog boy friends so that I can help to head this off. Now, there is a little bit of a restriction here. Remember, when you're coming in from Strat Reserve, or any reserve really, you always have to come in outside of 9 inches of the opponent. So, and if it's strat reserves, you also have to be wholly within 6 inches of a board edge. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to measure out, and I'm going to make sure I am 9 inches away from the Death Company in this scenario. Boom, no problem. We are officially 9 inches away. I can actually bring this guy a little bit closer, and I will. And then I just have to wait. So now my opponent is going to have to charge with his Death Company. He has a 7-inch charge. Let's say he rolls a 9. All right. So what he's going to do is he's going to have to base with a couple of his models. So this guy's going to have to come up here. And then this guy is going to come here. Or honestly, he might even come here. And then this guy, since he rolled a 9, he's unfortunately unable to base here, so he's going to have to base him right here. This is going to give me a opportunity to use a heroic intervention. So now I can spend 2 CP, or I can use the Beast Boss on Squigosaur's special ability to give them a free heroic intervention to then charge into the Death Company. So I'll roll the charge, and since it's since it's now only a 2 inches instead of the 6 inches, then I basically effectively will automatically get in. But let's say I roll something decent and I roll like a 6-inch charge. So I get to do this, and then I get to move everyone else into position where we get to all make sure that we have a great fighting ability. So now everyone will get to fight. And now the Death Company player is actually kind of screwed, because while yes, he might be able to kill all of the boys, or he might even be able to kill all the Squigogs. There's no way he can kill both, which is going to give me enough attacks to strike back, end up killing the Death Company, and make sure that I maintain control of the objective. Let's say that he's a little successful like this. But now, instead of just wiping my unit and taking me off of primary, I'm going to hold the primary, and I'm going to be a lot further up the field than he was originally planning, which can be absolutely devastating. So this is going to be sick combo number 1. Let's get back into the PowerPoint so that I can get you into the next step of this awesome video. And here we go. Now we're going to talk about resurrecting units and models to score in ways your opponent was not planning on having you score. Now, there's a lot of armies that can do things like this. Your Endless Swarm for Tyranids, your Imperial Guard, they actually have the abilities to just completely resurrect units. GSC can do that as well, although it's a little bit different. Green Tide Orcs and GSC have the ability to resurrect individual models. So do Necrons, by the way. There's a couple other examples across the game as well. But essentially, here's what you're going to do. If there's 2 forms for it. So the first form that we're going to talk about is really utilizing this ability to make sure that you score a lot of secondary points, and to make sure that Overwatch is relatively useless. So I'm going to go ahead and just read the strat to you so that you guys can understand. So we're going to use the Imperial Guard as an example. By the way, the wording is pretty much identical for the Endless Swarm Tyranids, and so you guys can kind of use your own genius to figure out how to use this. But essentially what you're going to do is, here's the stratagem. It says reinforcements. When any phase, target 1 regiment unit from your army that was just destroyed. You can use this stratagem on that unit even though it was just destroyed. So it's very specific about when you're allowed to do this. The effect, add a new unit to your army identical to your destroyed unit in strategic reserves at its starting strength and with all of its wounds remaining. So what we're going to do, let me show you on TTS how this works, and it basically makes you immune to Overwatch and will pretty much guarantee that you get to score a lot of secondaries. So I'm going to go back to the TTS view. Whoop, whoop, whoop. All right, here we are. So I've set up this scenario over here. I can just take the strat reserve off, just get rid of some of those lines for you. So let's say I really desperately need to get my, you can use catechins, you can use scions, you can use whatever. Let's pretend it's catechins in this, for this example. So you know what, I don't have the scions models, so but we're going to pretend that these are actual scions because it's going to work better. So they're going to deep strike in, and they're going to come right here, and they're going to do behind enemy lines and deploy teleport homers for a total of 7 victory points for 1 unit. Well, me being the savvy player I am, I was ready for this, and I have my Ball Predator here ready to Overwatch, and I'm going to kill this squad. So now they can't get behind me lines because they're dead, and they can't score deploy teleport homers because they're dead. However, the guard player is going to be a savvy lad, and what he's going to do is he's going to go ahead and spend 2 CP to make a new Scions unit and put them into strategic reserve. Which, by the way, he can then, since it's still his turn, he's still his reinforcement step of his turn, can then go ahead and basically just take that unit and put it right here. Now that I've already Overwatched, I can no longer do it again. And remember, guys, please use your imagination. Just pretend these are Scions and not actual catechins. I just had the wrong models loaded up. So essentially what happens now is, since they used 2 CP, they countered my Overwatch, they get a new unit here, which will then get behind enemy lines, and it will then get deploy teleport homers, because it just says return to strategic reserves. And when you're in reserves, you can then come out in the reinforcement step. It doesn't say anything about returning to the reinforcement step in the next phase. It says do it now. And since it's still his reinforcement step, it works. So effectively, let me just run through this one more time. Boom, we do a deep strike. We're trying to make sure we score some points. The Ball Predator overwatches, kills the unit. But because I use my 2 CP stratagem on reinforcements, I'm just going to take the copy unit and do the exact same thing again, and there's nothing my opponent can do to stop it because they've already used their Overwatch. Blech. Now, Endless Swarms can do this thing as well, and so can, like, I think it's really just Endless Swarm and Imperial Guard at this point, actually. So, now there's another way that we can use regenerating units to actually really increase scores. But this is going to be a little bit of a different vein. So instead of regenerating the entire unit, we're going to talk about using regenerating models. Now, GSC does this quite well. Necrons do this quite well, and so do now the new Green Tide Orcs. And there might be one or two others that I'm missing. But let's just go ahead and use this example I've set up over here. So I've got all of these Orc boys, and let's pretend that we are in the Green Tide. And I've got my Vindicator tank. And my Vindicator tank is going to move all the way up. And he's going to be ready to blast all of my Orc boys. So what he does is, let's say he kills a bunch of the Orc boys. And I really don't want him to charge me with the Vindicator, because I don't want him to, say, tank shock me or anything like that. So I'm going to kill Orc, 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 Orc. And that takes me completely off of the objective. Which means in my turn, I can no longer score the objective. However, Green Tide have a stratagem that allows me to return D3 plus 2 models to the unit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend my 1 CP on that, and then I am going to return, this is in my command phase now, the Orcs command phase. Now they're going to regenerate, boom. Let's say they regenerate just 3 models. Well, what that does is it gets me 6 OC on this objective, and it happens in the command phase, but not at the end of the command phase. And I don't score until the end of the command phase, which means I will now score primary for holding this, even though at the start of the command phase I had no models, because I used the stratagem in the command phase to resurrect D3 plus 2 models, allowing me to steal this objective from the Space Marine player who was trying to deny it to me in the first place. So this is another way that we can use our regenerating models to actually increase our scores and to get, free movement as well. Because just look at this, right? Currently, we are about 7 inches apart, but after I regenerate, and I regenerate fully within coherency of my other unit, I can actually do it like this even. Fully within coherency. And then fully within coherency. Now, I'm actually only like 3 inches away. So you can actually use it for free movement as well. So that is going to be how we're going to use regeneration to be able to help steal objectives, and it's also how we're going to use reinforcements to be able to maximize our secondaries, and it's really, really strong. I got one more treat for you today, so let's head back to the PowerPoint view. And now this one isn't so much a really sick combo as it is a really important, just vital skill to the game that I really want everyone to understand. And I know some veterans who have been around have probably seen this before, but a lot of you guys have not. And I can tell from just the amount of people that I coach, this is something that is not thought about. So you're going to think about it now, and you're going to up your game a ton. We're going to talk about riding in a taxi. So this is using one transport to increase the movement of multiple units of infantry or whatever. Way more than you ever thought you could. So you get massive amounts of movement by hopping in and out of transports at the correct time. This combos exceptionally well with scout movements. So I'm going to demonstrate how this is going to work on TTS and how you're going to get a crap ton of free movement and how you're going to really, really get up the board a lot faster than you ever dreamed was possible. So let's head right on over to the TTS view. Boo, boo, boo. And we're back to it. So I've set this up already. I'm just going to kind of move some of this stuff out of the way. All right. So I've set this up for us. So we have a truck. And inside the truck, I have a bunch of knobs with a war boss. But I didn't have enough points for crazy amounts of transports. So let's say in this scenario, I didn't have enough transports for 2 units of knobs. So I'm going to deploy the second unit of knobs right here in this ruin where they're safe from shooting, but they're able to move up. So remember, this war boss is in the truck, and they're getting ready to move. So at the beginning of the movement phase, what I'll do is I'll just disembark this unit of knobs, and they can all disembark wholly within 3 inches of the truck. It makes this super, super easy. I'm just going to use a 5-man squad just because it's going to be easier for me to demonstrate, but you can do it with 10 very easily. And they're all going to disembark from the truck. And then what I'm going to do is I really want to stage them right here. So I'm just going to roll the advance, and let's say I roll a reasonably good advance, and then these guys all get to move up to this little edge. No problemo. And they're going to make everyone all nice and happy. Then what I'm going to do is I can hop these knobs inside the truck. So they're all going to go boop, and they're going to jump in the truck. So now I got a war boss in this unit of knobs inside the truck. And then the truck will get to do its move. And it's going to go all the way over here and touch this objective. So now if they want to kill my truck, I'm going to be able to get to pop out a whole bunch of knobs onto the objective, keeping my OC up and really increasing my threat range. And if they don't kill my truck, what I will get to do in my next turn is I'll actually get to disembark my knobs 3 inches in front of the truck so that they'll be like, I don't know, right about here, giving them an effective 3-inch increase to the range of their movements. Meaning I get way more movement by hopping in and out of trucks than I would had I not done that. So now they get to move their 6 inches, and I'm probably in the wah phase, and remember, this is a turn later. So you can't embark and disembark in the same turn, but you can disembark one unit and embark another unit in the same turn. So this was another really, really sick combo. It's called taxi riding. I don't know who patented that, so I don't know who to give credit to, but it's a really, really great way for you to get a lot of extra movement up the battlefield that your opponent really isn't expecting. It also really lets you stretch the points as far as using transports is concerned. Do you need a transport for every single unit in your army? Not really. Not if you can use one transport to move 2 units a turn. That's what I want you to take away from this. That's how we're going to get a lot better at this game, because we're going to start using some really important and powerful strategies and tactics to take ourselves a lot further in the game of Warhammer 40,000. If you liked this video, definitely give me a like and a subscription and share it with all of your friends so that you and all your friends can level up your games and you can have a lot more fun as you are crumping. And until next time, everyone else, I am out. This was Happy Crumpin' Wargaming, and I hope you all have a lovely freaking day. Bye-bye.